Hmm. So, welcome to the beginnings. Hi. um, let's let the awkwardness just dissipate. I get a little nervous, especially with like a new setup. So let's remember to keep the posture together and hope for the best. I have my my microphone set up, and I'm trying not to look like a news anchor too much, but yeah, I think, I know that I have a shadow back here, so I'm not really sure how to get rid of that. And my setup is coming at like an angle, but I'm not quite sure how to rig my camera and my ring light. Like, I know that there's a situation that I could put together to have it centered like in the ring light. So, but that tripod doesn't seem to be anywhere like near as sturdy as this one. That is a newer ring light. I think it's a newer, but it's on a newer or prismatic tripod, so it's made for a ring light. This has like a certain capacity, and it's a Manfrotto. I think it could be used like outdoors. It could go up to like being taller than me. So, but yeah, you can kind of see here, like, I have this situation. I mean, since we're here, I didn't test this like at all. Geesh. This is kind of like bootleg, but let's see. We're gonna look at this after the tape plays back. It's been so long. Oh. So I'm wondering if this is, whoa. Okay, so that's low. We're going through like a test situation here, so we just have like a lot of lighting. So let's let that one ride for a few minutes and hopefully it's better. But yeah, so the setup. I've just gotten finished with like storage, like extra pads of paper, extra notebooks, my small like mats, small canvases. Now we have everything that's pretty like regular. So let's turn this off and see, whoa, if that's gonna be a thing. But yeah, so I don't have any oil paints here. That's hilarious. I think all my oil paints are in my storage unit. I think. Unless they're in one of these, what's it called when, tackle box. I have 2 tackle boxes that I've had for like 20 years, easy. Like, I had them when I was in undergrad, and I graduated in 03. So so I might have oil paints here, but oil paints are not the name of the game. We're going watercolor. We're gonna do the watercolor situation. We're gonna do the gouache situation. I have my gouache paints like here. So this is what they're in. They're obviously like out and just there. But that's what my gouache paints look like. They kind of started, some of them started in a situation like this. And then I went to the local like crafty art store. It's not like a dedicated art store, but they had all their gouache paints like on clearance, but some of them were bootleg, because instead of coming in like, if I could find one of the containers, they came in like metal containers versus like the plastic ones. And what I noticed is that it made some of the paints like smell like really bad. And we're talking about like, hold on, let's wait for this to pass. Okay. Sometimes the block can become hot and noisy, which isn't so bad, but might sound really weird on camera. Trying to be me here. It's really weird. I think once I get used to this setup, I'm gonna be cool, but right now I just feel awkward, and not in a bad way. I ordered this offline. I had this in a clearance set that I bought because I needed specific colors for class that I was running out of. I never really got those specific colors, but I got a whole bunch of other ones, so I used to just like, you know, cheat my work a little bit. But, you know, it was what I had to do, and it wasn't too bad because I knew the parameters that we were going for. So we're going to be working with gouache and some watercolors. Not today, but that's going to be the deal. I'll get into that situation in another time and place. But what's going to happen next, I'm kind of figuring out. I have a easel over here, like a desk easel. It was in my last video. So it's like a thing where I might have the easel over here, I might have it over there. I know that my digital tablet is going to be here, and my second printer, my second computer, which I need to run this tablet because it's a 64-bit, and I really can't run this tablet on a 32-bit system. So, operating system, that is. But otherwise, let's wait for it. Otherwise, the artistic side of things is getting more organized. Now it's going to be the electronic side. I have this drawer of electronics. So it's coming along though. So that's the update with me. And I think I'm making an excellent home situation, especially with the situation that's going on outside of my crib. Gosh. So right now the epidemic is happening, or the pandemic, either one really. It just, I wouldn't say it's all the same. I'm trying to get my posture right, but it's not really working. But I think maybe I have to work on my posture. Is it really difficult while I'm working on it? Or is it a matter of the chair? I don't know. But yeah, so I have my little setup here that is in good working order for cleanliness and sanitation and sanitizing. I say that and I want to sneeze. It's not like a sickness sneeze though. It's more like I think it's a dry air sneeze, but don't touch my face. I haven't been out. I'm trying not to sneeze. And I guess maybe talking about it is making me want to sneeze more, but we're just gonna let it pass. Yeah, what I'm seeing right now in I guess the systems is like really it imploding on itself. Like what I figured, at least about the system here, and this may be reflective of other ones, but I'm going to focus on what my opinion is about what's happening here. See, the land is sacred, right? And a lot of people have come together since the beginnings of this country and they've operated in ways that were very, very shady. And they developed systems that weren't rooted in truth and honor and loyalty. I mean, in the Constitution, it goes over how much a slave is worth and what constitutes a slave. And it's 1/8. So they're keeping people pretty much as far away from being counted as not a slave as possible in the paperwork that is associated with what this country is about. So you fast forward to now to these people, and I won't say it's white people. I'll say it's anybody who willingly participates and supports this system in a way that is without trying to improve it. That used to only be white people, because really it comes from like a slave master kind of mentality. Like if you look at the governor's mansion here, that thing is a slave, like it's a plantation. You can just look at it and tell. And the way corporations are run, you have massa, and then you have a whole bunch of people who have to be paid, but fundamentally they're not paid very well, and they're pretty much burning their lives away to make this person money while they get richer, and support systems that make all of their homies richer and make the people who actually help them like pretty much get put into the ground. And you can say like, oh well, you know, they were smart enough to like, you know, make these, you know, businesses and you know, have these ideas. And yeah, I think that's true in a lot of ways, but even in more ways, most of what they got were through acquisitions of stealing, as the result of stealing. So you have a bunch of people who oppressed people and use them, oftentimes using their, and not just black people, like all, you know, you see what I'm saying? There's a them and there's an us. In that them, you have all races, and it's a mentality, but it started from roots of lying to the natives. Give them blankets, kill them all. Those big piles of bison and buffalo or bison that were just killed, that kind of mentality. And then it went to, let's destroy the land. And then it was like sacred land. Oh, let's plop an airport on top of it. Let's plop a school on top of it. Let's just, you know, oh, it's a cemetery. Let's just build on top of the native sacred grounds. In my opinion, that all comes back around. And I think with this pandemic, my observation is that everything is shut down. And it's people who thought they were untouchable who are getting affected the most. Now, whether it's man-made or not, that's a whole different thing. But I think regardless, the Creator, the Lord, Jesus Christ was like, hey, you had more than enough time to make right on everything that you've been doing wrong for hundreds of years. And when you look at them scrambling around on TV, saying one thing, turning on each other, having, you know, like they were in Senate testifying, these doctors, and then they were called out of the Senate meeting to go have an emergency meeting at the White House, but no one knew about it. They didn't know when, you know, they're going to go get conditioned about what they need to say to keep up appearances. And then the next meeting, it's like everyone's on par. And everyone who was hired for a reason. You're hired because you're a woman. You're hired because you're black. You're hired because you nod your head a lot. And you see them just lining up, and they're rooted in lies. You can just see it in their spirit, you know? And they try to orchestrate things so it looks all diverse, and it just looks crazy. And then you bring in the CEOs from all these companies, and they're old white men. And it looked like just like a wave of like a Confederate flag. Like they were just saying white power. But when it came to the questions from the reporters, then it was just like, okay, enough with the facade that you've been broadcasting and passing off as truth. But now that everyone is broadcasting, people are starting to catch up because of things like Instagram and catfishing. They're realizing that in front of the lens is really non-reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so when it comes to them and their lies catching up with them, there's a division, you know? And they keep on trying to say stuff. Oh, I don't know this person. Just like that rapist, Epstein, you know, Trump saying, I don't know him. I don't know the Prince of England. Pictures with him over dozens of years. It just sounds stupid. So you go to the whole, and people think it's just a Trump thing. And it's not. It's everybody. It's all of them. It's everybody in the, you know, FDA, the pharmaceutical companies, the Senate, Democrats, Republicans, all of them. You can see one or two that kind of surface that look like they're trying to do the right thing, but no one really is doing the right thing. They had Sarah Sanders over there on the microphone feeding lies, and they always start like, look, you know, when someone states the truth, it's that narcissistic reaction of like belittling the other person. Oh, well, you know, oh, well, you guys just killed 1,000 people. Look, it may look like that, but, you know, next question, you know, stuff like that. So now you're seeing it. But what's interesting is that all of their operations have been shut down. All of the things that make them money have been shut down. I don't think that they have the power to intentionally do something like this, because now it seems to be like an implosion where even if it was a manufactured situation, there's too many of their homies that are getting adversely affected. Now, I think what's going to happen is that the pharmaceutical companies have their final chance now to do right. You know, and what's interesting is that there are groups of people who seem to be exempt, and the ones who are at the biggest risk are pretty much old people, and the people who have been fucking with this country the longest, besides their demonic little demon children, Trump's kids, Bush's kids. It all started with their homies, you know what I'm saying, their dads and their granddads, all of them. And so now that's why you have like 90-year-old dudes, you know, still sitting around trying to govern stuff, because it's the good old boys. But guess who's the biggest target of this? Them. I was remembering like with Brian Kemp, you know, excuse me, like I felt like he was trying to capitalize off of the healthcare system in Georgia. And I remember thinking in my mind, like, you're fucking with people's health. I'm looking forward to when it's your health that's getting fucked with, since you don't want to do anything for people in a real way that doesn't make you money, you know? So now it's interesting, he's in this category shaking hands with all the rest of the people who have been fucking with people. And what's interesting is that you could see them being smug and arrogant and like, oh, we're so rich, we own all these companies. But I was thinking earlier, it's kind of like taking an innocent person, you know what I'm saying, and like Jesus Christ, you know, and skinning them alive, pouring salt on them, painting a pentagram around their body and doing some satanic ritual, and then building your house right on top of their skeleton and being like, I'm just gonna live right here. Because that's pretty much what these corporations are doing. They're not doing anything with consulting the spirit world, other people, and what's happening. And they say that they're all Christian. Christians can just go suck it, because most Christian people nowadays are on some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? They claim because they go to church or they go to the cathedral or whatever, mass. That's some bullshit too. And who else is old as hell? The Pope. And, you know, for the most part, I don't want people who are innocent. I don't want people who are innocent to like just die. But it's interesting that Italy is getting hit so hard, because, you know, over there in the Vatican, they be raping, and all those secrets that they've been holding on to, they haven't been doing anything to try to make right on all those little boys and girls that they were trying to fuck when they were 4, 5, 6 years old. Let's keep it real. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very interesting, and I think it's just the start. They may think if they get past this, it's gonna be all right and whatever. Nothing is all right for them. It's way past I'm sorry's. The most that they could do is try to do right, but none of them are budging an inch, because it's clear to me now that they feel that they are gods, demigods maybe, whatever demonic category they fit in, and that they're fundamentally indestructible, and they're not. Because another thing that came along with these corporations, that they think that they're so powerful and successful, is that they're totally dead in the spirit world. Like they're coming from like a severe handicap in the spirit world. Like, you know, somebody who's just like spiritually neutral can have a better time than them. They're pretty much digging their grave when they're already in the grave. And I'm sure that in their lives now that they have a lot of little things that they're wondering, like, why is this happening to me? And it's not normal. You won't ever see it on TV, but I know it's happening. The more that I see, and the more things that happen, it's like it's basically watching the spirit world come for these people. Now, I don't know where the origins are. I personally don't think that it had anything to do with what they're saying it had to do with, but you know, but it's the same as anything else. So it's like old info, like, but I can't say that I'm happy overall. I am happy overall, but I can't say that I'm like, yeah, go virus, you know. But it's nice to see people who have been fucking with people. And my definition of fucking with people is like intentionally lying and stealing from them, intentionally taking from them, putting them in forms of slavery or indentured servitude when they did nothing to earn it. You're trying to steal their land and tell a whole bunch of lies and manipulate things. Basically witchcraft. Witches and warlocks. That's who we're dealing with these people. And you may say like, oh, well, you know, that's all crazy. That's some old school stuff. No, it's really not. Because when you weave lies with your words and you really try to pass off the illusion and you try to manipulate people's minds on top of everything, that is all a form of sorcery. So, and it comes from a demonic place. Because you can't be operating in a positive way of the spirit. You can't be operating in the Lord while you're still trying to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're either fishing from one or two holes. So you're either going to fish into the lake of fire and shit, and that's what you're going to pull out.